Welcome to Cinema Discussions. My name is John. I am joined by Vaughan.
Senior bad real estate correspondent.
Yes, we are discussing The Disappointments Room. And
Truth in advertising.
well, come on. Let's just start at the beginning here. If you're watching this movie or this review so far, you're either one of the very, very, very few people that saw this movie, or you're thinking about seeing this movie. So we're going to give you our recommendation before we get into spoilers here. So, how would you recommend this movie?
Very weakly recommended.
I give severe hesitation to this movie.
Yeah.
You gotta really be looking for something that is non-traditional filmmaking. This is I think most people will be disappointed by it, but
I found it to be pretty heavily cliched.
So it's a kind of a mix.
Yeah.
It is super heavy cliche. It is very expected on a lot of the things in it, but there are elements in the way that this film is constructed that are not super traditional in a way that it throws you off a bit. It makes it it makes this unique in a way. And in that sense, there could be artsy film people out there. There could be some people out there who are into this style.
So, if you want to see something that definitely breaks away from the mold of typical scary movies,
it both breaks away from the mold while following
still following, very very heavily cliched in the dialogue and certain things that happen. This might be a good Netflix movie.
Yeah,
just wait for that.
It's one of those that if you're really interested in film, if you like watching things that are unique. Mm-hmm. This is one that you don't want to rush out to the theaters for, but a Netflix watch, something where you're renting it, paying in a monthly fee. If you're not paying specifically for this movie, then I think it's worth checking out just for the interesting things that they do in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there's some interesting stuff in there, but overall it's
kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
So don't rush out to see this movie, but if you got a chance. So if you did see this movie though, now we're gonna go in and actually try to break this thing down. So spoiler alert. Spoiler alert for The Disappointments Room. Another movie I went into not knowing anything about it. I just knew the title.
Did I see a trailer for this one?
I think
I'm not sure I did.
I think I saw that Kate Beckinsale was in it. Just from the movie app. I didn't see any trailers for it. I heard them talking about it on Kevin and Bean on the Movie Beat. They started talking about it, and I immediately just turned it off because I was about to see the movie, and I don't want to know. I already know what's going on about it.
Yeah. So I've got my own notes here about
interesting. It was written by Wentworth Miller. Who, if he's an actor, I know him from The Flash. He was Captain Cold. He's done a bunch of other things too, but it's interesting because he's an actor who also writes things. This is the second film he's written. The first one was Stoker, which most people didn't see, but I did. I saw that in theaters because
didn't even hear of it.
It's directed by the guy who directed Oldboy, the original Oldboy, not Spike Lee, who directed the
Korean
remake.
Oldboy.
Yeah. So it was the first English language movie that he directed. And it was written by Wentworth Miller, and it is a similar style to this one. So in that it's not very traditional. It's definitely very avant-garde, but there's these weird elements where it feels like a foreign language film dubbed into English. And this film had a lot of similar things. It had a similar feeling to Stoker. After I found out it was Wentworth Miller, kind of things started to make sense in that way.
Okay.
That it was it felt similar to it, but not anything that really helped it. But it just
clearly not.
It just made it kind of interesting. So go through your notes and I'll come up.
I took the notes as the movie was going along. I was like only one of 4 people in
Yeah.
my theater.
I was the only one in my theater. Yeah, it only made $1.7 million
ouch.
on its opening weekend, and that's out of a budget of $15 million. So it's got to go 10 times that to make back its money.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So the first cliche is that you come across the family. They're driving to this new house. 3 people: dad, wife, and
Kid.
son. The dad utters the word specifically that we're moving out to a new beginning. so there's your first cliche right off the bat. I kind of knew where this was going.
Is the father supposed to be American?
I don't really know.
The way he talks about America and he says like this is an American thing to do, right? Like the way he talks about that, and he kind of has this subtle. He's a Jamaican-born actor. It says it says Jamaican-born English actor. To me, it sounded like a German accent slightly that he had in the beginning of it. It was foreign enough that it didn't seem native.
It was like just enough of an accent.
Yeah. But it kind of came and went. It was there very much in the beginning of the film. Then later on in the film, it was like, no, he's just straight on like California kind of accent.
I think what some people call a Midwestern neutral.
Yeah, and then the TV accent, the news.
Yeah, TV news accent.
And as it got later in the film, and it started to come back again. So I was like, all right, this is coming from the actor, but it was bleeding into the character enough that it seemed like in the beginning, hearing that accent and hearing him say something about this American tradition, like we would be more American doing it this way. It sounded like that his not being American plays into this character some way, but then that doesn't,
and they never addressed it.
Yeah, it doesn't come into it at all.
And then right after it, during this opening scene where they're driving, the dad had a very specific tone to the way he was speaking, kind of like he was trying to be gently optimistic about what they were doing.
Yes.
Mom seemed kind of a little doubtful about what they were trying to do. Kid is just kind of blissfully unaware. But then they get into the house, and now it's the next morning in this scene. The weird thing is that I don't know if this was accidental or what. It's like in this morning scene, Dad is suddenly like sounding like kind of snarky. Sounding kind of assholey in that next morning scene. I think it's like his his inflection or whatever was like just like slightly off. It sounded really kind of off-putting to me.
Kind of.
And then it doesn't really happen the rest of the movie.
No, not too much really. He's got this that something's up between him and his wife, that he's got something going on there. So I think it could be attributed to that.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see. There's the morning. Now they're kind of exploring the house when it's not raining. They go to a POV shot of looking down the chain, holding up a chandelier in a spiral staircase, and they do the same shot, I think 2, maybe 3 times. So it's like my first thought is like, oh, okay, this is probably foreshadowing some kind of death trap that the chandelier is going to turn into, like a lot of horror movies might do.
Yeah, I think but it turns out I think it's just establishing the stairs.
Nothing happens.
I mean, they utilize the stairs of just them having to run up and down the stairs, so they
do use the stairs a lot.
Yeah.
And nothing much happens for a while. Then they reveal to us that they had a second child who is no longer in the picture for some reason.
Yeah.
It's like, So I think that kind of changes that relationship between the mother and father a lot. Then they don't address it again until much later.
Yeah. So you've got they notice the light coming on in the window in the house, which leads them to look behind the wardrobe.
Yeah.
And finds the weird door. And that's when they find the disappointments room. And you get the very great cliche in can't say every, but 90% of horror films where they go consult the expert and they're like, oh, this is the subplot device that you didn't know about the subplot device.
This is the what is it, the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Somebody
You've
in town.
got one of them MacGuffins in your house.
Yeah, you got a MacGuffin again.
We're
gonna have to spray for that.
But then you get the self-awareness of it.
Yeah.
Where she's like, the expert says, oh, it could be this or the spirits, but then again, I'm a big fan of Poltergeist. And so it's like, all right, so you're aware of these tropes in films, so they pointed out there.
But before they discover the disappointments room, they start introducing those little flashes of things that happen in a different time. There's no reason for them to start happening.
No, and
there's no real indication that somebody is like visioning these things or they're experiencing them.
Gets a little confusing in what they're
they just kind of start happening, but and they escalate from there.
Yeah, they are introduced in such a weird manner, and I'm kind of like fighting against the movie to enjoy it or understand those things.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I understood it, and I was picking up on these things, but not with help from the film necessarily. They weren't making it easy.
I actually did kind of like that scene with Miss Judith, like the actual lady who was Miss Judith, like who was a little dwarf lady. She was the town expert on The Room.
Yeah,
the town expert, town historian.
Well, I
kind of liked her.
I enjoyed it to a degree, but because I've been seeing so many horror films with that element in it, and it's mostly all of the Sinister and Conjuring and all of the these films of the Darkness Falls. I can't even think of all of these films. Any of these supernatural films that have happened recently, where they go to this one with the caves recently in the cave stones, because they find this weird stuff happens. They talk to some expert and they're like, oh, let me check into that, or oh, this is this thing, and they have the books all about it and the stuff.
Oh yeah. It's like, I've been researching this exact thing for 2 decades.
Yeah, and it's this thing where it's just it was weird. It was that. Seeing that scene in this film where I'd seen that so many other times, so to me that was like, okay, just I get the scene, just go on. But at the same time, then I was also interested in the ideas of a disappointments room. And have you heard about that kind of room and a thing? I don't know if that actually exists.
I'm not sure it existed.
It's one of those things that it's super believable, though.
The rationalization they gave for it, does make sense.
Wealthy family who has a child with birth defects, or a child that's not.
They don't want to just kill them right away, so they hide them.
No, and they keep them until they die, and It's a thing that's completely believable. It's absolutely believable, but I hadn't thought about that kind of thing, and so it's I don't know if that's actually real. I could do some more research on it, but apparently the film didn't inspire me that much to do the research on it. But it's still at least a thing that that could be true. So I was interested in that, and then beyond that, just I didn't like the contractor guy and his hitting on the missus there.
I do have a thought about that for later.
Okay.
The contractor who was he was in another movie not long ago. I think a young adult movie.
He was slightly recognizable, but
a very attractive
Lucas Till,
teenage male.
X-Men First Class.
That's what it was.
Yeah, he was.
No. He did something since then.
Okay, but he was Havoc. He was also in
he was Havoc.
Hannah Montana the movie. Do you remember him from Hannah Montana the movie?
No.
Was that the film you were thinking of?
No.
But X-Men First Class as Havoc. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And then X-Men Apocalypse as Havoc.
Yeah.
And X-Men Days of Future Past as Havoc. Too. Is that what you're thinking of? X-Men?
Yeah.
One of the other X-Men. Monster Trucks is a new movie that's coming out.
Monster Truck.
The trailer. You remember him from the trailer of Monster Truck? That's not out until next year. Yeah, I kind of remember him from that too.
It looks stupid.
It's weird because I mean I liked him as Havoc, so this is it's a flaw of the script is that I just didn't like like that character existing,
really kind of douchey,
and I didn't. It's not really necessary,
like
at all.
He was sort of useful initially. But I
it's
have
another MacGuffin. He's another red herring on the
red herring. Yes,
yeah.
I have an idea about that for a little bit later.
Okay.
So there is the scene where Mom goes up into the attic for the first time.
I like that.
Opens the wardrobe thing. Like there are literally bats in the wardrobe, and they fly out at her.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What is this? The 50s?
Well, they got to do a weird scare thing in there too. And,
there are literally bats in there.
I like when she finally gets it because she tries the keys, they don't have the keys, and she finds the keys. I like the scene where she first goes into the room and gets locked in there. Because they set it up where she puts the thing in, she puts the timer on, and then she goes. So they focus on the timer. So like, the timer's important here. Now I thought at some point when she was in the room, the timer was going to go off and something was going to happen with that. But instead,
I figured dinner would be burning by then.
I thought something.
Yeah.
But instead, they do the other route of it that I really liked, where she's trapped in there all night until the next day.
Yeah, it feels like all night to her.
As she's in there and she's screaming and let me out of this room, and she goes downstairs and they're like, we didn't hear you. We're sorry we didn't hear you. And then the timer goes off. And I'm like, oh no, she was psychologically in there for longer. So now we're like, all right, does this room have special weird powers that he's screwing with her?
Ghosts are doing some shit in here.
And I. So continue with your.
Oh yeah.
Notes.
And so then after going upstairs, like she starts getting real snappy at. I wrote down Ben. That should be the husband's name.
Sure.
Like she starts getting real snappy.
No, Ben's Lucas Till. He's the contractor.
Oh yeah, when he's first there, it's like she snaps at him really hard.
Yeah.
As in her trying to assert control in a situation that she realizes she is losing control over.
Yes. Yeah. She's losing control of all the situations there, but also they do establish that her character, she's an architect. Her father was a contractor. So she's got knowledge about this stuff.
She's on some kind of mental medication.
Yeah, but she's on medication that she's not supposed to take. In that case, because he said it sounds like he's saying like don't take the pills because the pills make her loopy. It sounds like it's these pills that she's addicted to that she's trying to not take in some way, that they were these something was going on there. It sounded like she kept going for the pills, and when he was like, take those because you get fuzzy.
Usually when you get like antipsychotics.
That's what I thought at first, but it sounded like she was there, whatever, like that she didn't have the right pills, but whatever pills she did have, she wasn't supposed to take, that she did take those in the end when she got crazier with that. I don't know.
Okay, that might have been some muddled dialogue writing there.
Yeah, it was something odd in there. Because in any case, she flushes the pills down in the one moment, like she's about to take them, and then she flushes them.
Yeah, so as we're building up to the big climax of the movie, and she's realizing that these ghosts are there. It's like she's seeing a girl who is one of these deformed disappointments,
and the father, or the landowner or whoever is the father. He's yelling at her as the mother of this child, but directly to our main character, to Dana, and is saying, this is your fault, and you caused this tragedy, which is then mirroring her own life and the loss of her child.
It's during this final build up to the climax that we realize the daughter that they had not that long ago, she kind of accidentally smothered.
Yeah, we finally see the full
asleep in bed one day.
The full scene of it, because earlier we hear her saying she just decided to stop breathing and this, so then you get because she didn't love me, so she stopped breathing, and then she says there, and so breaking down. But you get to see the actual scene where she fell asleep on her, and it's just,
she's been racked with guilt this entire time. there was one like during the flashback where the old man, his wife, and their deformed daughter are up in the room. The scene of the flashback is in like gray shading. Not gray scale, but like gray tinted.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's only the father standing there, the ghost. Suddenly he's in color, just like she is, just like our mother is. And so now it's like he's dealing with her, the blonde mom, which I thought was kind of a pretty interesting way of making those two like little realities come together.
Yeah. So, how long does it take you to figure out the twist, I should say, of which the thing I loved about what won a lot of points for this movie for me is I love any movie that shows you supernatural things happening throughout the film, but then shows it at the end to all be psychosis and nothing supernatural actually happening. And those are films that I really applaud. And because there's definitely films where you can there's supernatural films that you can watch and you can explain it to yourself. You can explain it afterwards that all of these things could have happened by by natural elements. And in this film, they show that to be the case.
They show that like they almost go in that direction, except at the end where you see the ghost father like in the doorway.
I don't even count that because he's not actually interacting with anything. He's just there. Which is still, she's the only one who's seen any of this stuff. It looks like the son sees a girl in the hallway at one point. It seems like, because he goes up into the kind of shining thing, like sees the people, but we don't actually see him interact in any way.
He doesn't specifically.
He could have been pausing
as if
He could have been pausing at anything. It's just that's what we see, and we also see numerous scenes of the kid doing things that didn't actually happen, like getting chewed up by the dog. I love that scene and that action, but so that's all happening within her mind, and all these, we start seeing those little things just happening within her mind, but then we see the ghosts, and the ghosts are doing these things and interacting with that. So then you see the father with the shovel hitting the
ghost father who hits Ben.
So all of those things, right? Like when I saw the shovel hitting Ben, my first thought is either one, not happening, or two, it's the mother.
So that would be my fix for this movie to make it better. At the point where the scene ends, that Ben first comes to the house. You pick that moment as like everything from now on is entirely in her head.
Yes,
as such that Ben never comes back to fix on the roof. That she imagines all of this happening.
That could be,
and the dog is imaginary. All the ghosts are imaginary. Mom is losing her shit. So she's hitting the bed with the hammer. All of this is going on in her head.
Well, so would you have
such that Ben was never actually hit with the shovel. That it was just imagined. Like he never dug up that grave, that kind of thing.
You'd still have that that she's still acting out, and the rest of everything's going on around her. In response to her actions, but the point of view that we're seeing, she's not actually seeing. So she still would be hitting the hammer. Like that scene would still happen in real life and traumatizing the kid.
She's going through all of these things in out of body.
Would you show the audience that it's not actually happening the way that they did with the hammer scene, where they revealed it afterwards? Would you wait until the end? Would you show all of her?
I would wait till the very end. Do like a Saw montage.
Yeah, like the end Saw like flashing back,
where you see how these things are really
how
happening.
Could you been doing this the whole time? I love that kind of thing. When
that would have made this a better movie.
The other thing that I think that might have been doable. I think it still kind of worked the way they were doing it incrementally. That at least let the audience in on earlier that these things weren't happening. I was so they showed the dead cat. That was a gruesome scene in that one. I'm a little disappointed, and I get them. It's perfectly fine that they didn't do it. I'm a little disappointed that she didn't kill the kid. Because that hammer scene when she's hammering the guy, my first thought is she's hammering the kid. Like she's clearly killing the kid, and he's gonna walk in and be like, "What have you done?" And now they have to deal with a second kid killed, which immediately he has to put her into 5150, get her into a mental hospital because clearly, like the first kid, you fell asleep on. It was an accident. It was terrible. But the second one, like you need to be locked up. You are in danger.
So if you want to do that, then the moment that she realizes she has killed her son is when the big reveal happens.
Yeah. So that would have been the moment.
End the movie there.
There could have been other things throughout it. That birthday scenes, the birthday scene.
Oh
was
yeah,
awkward.
the dinner scene. Yeah,
the dinner scene.
Like, ooh, that was creepy.
Well, it was awkward because I felt I put myself for some reason I'm viewing it from the dinner party guest view, and it's just that how are we supposed to react in this case because she's clearly drunk and going crazy and talking about her dead kid. And like, I just want to get out of here. I don't want to. I have nothing to. I can't make the situation better by anything that I say. I'm only gonna make it worse. I don't want to be here, but I can't just leave because that's gonna cause more. Like, we don't know how safe he is with her. You don't know. How do you react as those guests? What would you do? What would you do if you were those guests?
Yeah, there's like nothing you can do.
Jump out the window. And did I miss it? I was, I wasn't really paying attention in the first couple minutes of the movie as they were getting there. So I might have missed it. But in that dinner party scene, they've got the big Dunkin' Donuts or the Krispy Kreme donuts, fresh donuts now sign.
Hot donuts now.
Did they explain that?
No, it just kind of showed up.
It was just there.
Just there.
They go into this like old house. They moved in with their things.
Oh, well, no, I think it clearly belonged to the family.
Oh, clearly. But did they show them like, this is my favorite sign? Any reasoning why they picked that sign? Because it's just all of a sudden they're in that scene. It's not shown before that, and it's just this Krispy Kreme donut sign. That was the product placement that they worked in.
This stupid vintage neon sign.
But it's not even like vintage. It's
like sort of, maybe.
I mean, they still use them now.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
You go to Krispy Kreme donuts, and it's the hot donuts now.
Well, that's true. Unless they've had the same sign for all this time. Because when they first go into town and they meet some lady who kind of further moves the plot along, there is the Krispy Kreme stand in the back of the ice cream shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is just product placement.
Product placement, probably.
This is weird.
It's kind of weird.
This is weird product placement. Why what kind of decoration? Because if he has that, he's got to have like some other weird, cheesy decoration throughout, like the
not that I saw.
The Billy Bass singing fish on the wall or something, like some other tacky decoration. If he's got this donut,
I saw no other like tack in the house.
Beer thing, and
it's like a Duff beer logo.
Something else just stood out as this.
Yeah.
Weird sign.
None of that.
Yeah, the mirror thing with the painting is an interesting thing there. The blood as she cuts herself, I was looking at more to happen with that, but nothing really did. But so I think that the film the biggest saving thing for me is I like that it dealt with psychosis rather than paranormal, and it definitely went heavy in the paranormal and showed all that stuff, but made it all psychosis. So I really like that. The expert that they talked about the disappointments room, she gave her all the facts about the physical room itself, and then said some say that there are spirits that inhabit the thing, but then again poltergeist. So it's the thing of like I just believe in ghosts. I want to believe in those things. So like she doesn't even really like wholeheartedly say that like, oh no, there's spirits in there. She's just like there's a chance. Maybe if there are spirits somewhere, they could be there.
At least they didn't go the route of making it seem like the whole town was in on knowing that something happened in this house.
They didn't do that. Be like, oh, you can't know this secret, and now we're gonna kill you.
Like nobody's lived in that house for.
No, it seemed
that would have just been another dumb thing.
Yeah, so while it fell into a lot of cliches, I think it there's enough of them that it avoided, and it took different paths.
Kinda,
That it
yeah.
was kind of interesting where it went with that. I think one of the most interesting things about this movie is that so far this film still has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's it still hasn't gotten that many reviews from critics as they say on there, because it's not a widely seen film. But it's kind of tough to get a 0%. Those are difficult to come by. That's no positive reviews from a thing. But positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, they equate that. And there's different people have different review scores. But on a 5-star rating scale, 3.5 and above is positive, and below, so 3 and below is that it's got an average rating of 2.3 out of 10. On I guess that would be like the way IMDb rates it out of 10. Pretty low on most of them. Most people are not liking this movie.
Yeah, I mean, they have plenty of reasons not to.
Just realized that was a pun because Kate Beckinsale's in this, and she was in Underworld and Lycan, and everyone else weren't liking this. Anyway, it was not unintentional, but I had to point it out because I noticed it. So what would you rate this film?
It kind of deserves a low score. I don't want to be too hard on it, because like we were saying, there are some good elements to it. If somebody else had gotten their hands on the script to give a little rewrite, and kind of like what our alternate theory was, would have improved it a whole lot.
There's a lot of other things that they need to work on with just some of the dialogue and things, and the way it was directed. I think that kind of failed. It was
kind of badly directed.
directed by DJ Caruso.
Yeah, the director didn't keep on top of the actors and keep them consistent. Yeah, especially the father.
He's the director of The Salton Sea, Eagle Eye, I Am Number 4. 2 for the Money, Disturbia.
Eagle Eye was pretty solid.
I mean,
it's just a straight up dramatic horror movie.
He's got things here and there, but he's not like a big known director for it. But
he's no.
I mean, I think even like the guy who did James Vaughan, who did Saw and the Conjuring movies. Like, even though the Conjuring had a bunch of supernatural stuff in it, the Saw movies didn't, and so he's done both. So I think he could do a mix of all of those. I think he would have been a great director for this movie.
Oh yeah.
You put him on it, and he would know what rewrites to make too, and just he'd make it work.
Yeah.
So I can't fault Wentworth Miller completely on it, on the writing, because there's interesting elements there throughout it. It's not a perfect script, but there's interesting stuff.
It's kind of like he's somewhere between third and fourth year in screenplay school.
Yeah, I mean, this is his second film.
Yeah.
So that's the consistency on that one. And DJ Cruz has done a bunch of films, so he's seasoned. So he's getting no excuse. So what would you
so final score, I think I'll be generous. I'll give it a 2.
A 2?
Yeah.
So as I'm watching the movie, like, for most of the movie I'm watching it, I'm like, all right, it's not a 1 because it's a little decent. So it's probably a 2. But I get to the ending of the movie, and when they do the reveals of the psychosis, and I'm like, good on you. Maybe a 3. Maybe you can do a 3 with this one. And I mean, I was thinking about it with it, and 3 is still a negative score on Rotten Tomatoes. That still gives it a 0%.
Okay.
If I give it a 3, but 3 seems. It's such an imperfect film that it's really tough to give it that 3. Like, it's more of the 2.5 on there. So I don't know. I think because this one I might need to I can't say I'm going to rewatch it, but it's, I'd know better if I watched another thing. But because I really was interested with Stoker, and I liked the way that it went. I think that's a better film. But again, it's been a while since I saw that. So I might even. I think I'll leave it at a 3. It averages out our scores at a 2.5, and
okay.
And that's really because that 3 for me is it's kind of like that bonus star that it doesn't really get the full bonus star. It gets a half bonus star because it did the thing that I like in the films of dealing with the power of psychosis and how much that can when it's truly distorting someone's reality in that way, and how crazy it can get. And I like that. I like those things that deal with it. And while it could have done other things with it, but it showed the father in therapy in that moment, and he's trying to deal with the things, and then they're both
he's trying to deal with her problems mostly,
and trying to make it better for her. And the way the party guests that they bring over, and they say, it's probably the move. It can be really stressful on you. I hear it's just as stressful as divorce or losing a child. You're like, why do you have to? Do you have to? You're just like bringing that up.
Like, could you make it any more obvious?
But it's just that's the foot and mouth thing of they're like, oh damn it, why did I say that? Anyway,
that got about as big a groan out of me as the bats.
Well, but to me, it's not the writer in that case putting it's not hitting it over the head to the audience about the losing the child. That is standard dinner party guests saying the wrong thing.
Okay,
that's what that showed to me. That showed it perfectly to me, because that's a thing that happens in times where because it's a common fact about like the most stressful things in someone's life are death, divorce, and moving. Like 3 of the most stressful things in a person's life, and losing a job would be the next one in there. But so he's this guy who read that on the internet and knows this weird fact. So they're doing this housewarming thing. They had just recently moved into this new house, and she's really stressed with it. And then he's just like, I read this fact that it could be just as stressful as that, and then not thinking that they had lost a kid a year ago, and like, so that's that moment to me was a positive thing in that one. I liked that.
Okay.
So anyway, but I'd love to hear what you think about this movie. If there's anyone out there who saw this movie,
anybody in America who happened to see this movie,
because I heard from one I only know one other friend that saw this movie, and they said that it lived up to the title. They were fighting against walking out the whole time, and I get that through it too. But I want to hear from anyone that enjoyed it. That's who I want to hear from. And because I want to know how because it's not by the numbers bad. There's stuff in there, but it's slightly non-traditional in this way that it feels like if this was a foreign film dubbed into English, then you'd forgive a lot of things in there. Like it's that this is how this film feels to me. It feels like it's this dubbed film, and so. I think really what it's saying to me is I need to rewatch Stoker, because to me, I wasn't thinking about who wrote that film because it was his first film. I was only thinking about the director on that one. Yeah. And so to me, it was the first film directed by a Korean director. And so it felt in this weird, like somewhat lost in translation way, but all in English. So like any of the imperfections, I forgive a lot of them. And it was this interesting look on things. So this one had a lot of the same kind of feel towards that, I thought, So now I need to rethink everything else with it. But
I don't know what to think anymore.
Oh man!
I can't believe it's not butter.
So this film was seeking a distributor after Relativity Media filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, placed the film up for sale. They shot the film in 2014. So this film's 2 years old.
Wait, Relativity filed bankruptcy?
That's what it says.
Wow. I thought they were doing okay.
Well, I guess they're still around, but people file for bankruptcy. You can run for president if you file for bankruptcy. It's just it happens. It says then they did schedule the film for March 2016 release. Then it was revealed that Kidnap would be the first post-bankruptcy release, and they pushed it to August. So it kept getting moved around in the schedule.
Was another trailer.
Yeah, so the thing kept this film got pushed around for a little bit, only for 2 years. I guess only moved around for a little bit within the year after it found a place for it. So not as bounced around as some films get, but it definitely wasn't on the top of the production company's list for release.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is we got to get this out there while it's hot. And like, where can we bury this film?
Yeah.
So
Well, at least they didn't release it in January.
yeah, so they did a good job burying this one along with other. It got released alongside Sully, When the Bow Breaks, and The Wildlife, and When the Bow Breaks also is at a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, why not put it against other films that people are just burying, and then they're like, let's let Sully have the
I'll just squeak it in there.
top box office. Let's put this in theaters and hope nobody notices. Which most people didn't. And it's such a title that it just screams out to you. You have disappointment in the title. It makes it easy for critics to bash it, of course.
Really
and then,
make fun of it.
It's tough. If you're not a 100% film, then that's a risky title. Say the Secrets Room. Just say something. Like, so disappointments, really? You gotta put that in there? All right. Well, thank you for watching this.
If you or somebody you know happen to enjoy this movie, we would like to know.
Put it in the comments on the YouTube section on MagicCapeTV.com. Let us know what you thought. Subscribe. If you've made it this far into a video, please subscribe to our channel because
it's a bit longer than I thought we were going to go for this movie.
We got more of this. You get confused with this stuff. Let us know. Subscribe to the videos. Write to us,
because we see the bad movies, so you don't have to.
@gmail.com. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.